Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I believe we are supposed to be here up to 6:30. And if everybody was given an opportunity to speak, we should be given equal time, Mr. Speaker, to speak. As I stand here, I stand to support this motion, Mr. Speaker. And the reason why I'm supporting it, Mr. Speaker, at the back of my mind, I do know that anybody or any senator can be a member of this committee. But I feel easy when I look at the membership of this committee as selected, Mr. Speaker. And especially one, Senator Christo Asige, Mr. Speaker. The reason why I'm saying that is because, you know, in the previous session, when this house was visited by bad spirits, what the Zulu would call Tokoloshe, the Tokoloshe skipped Senator Christo Asige, Mr. Speaker. So I believe when she's there, Mr. Speaker, she will stand with the country and with the Senate, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, I would want to assist you because I do not understand why this House is talking about the minority and the majority. And that issue is not before us, Mr. Speaker. But I want to assist you. If it was to come properly before you for that question, remember Azimio and Kenya Kwanza formed broad-based government. So they are actually both of them the majority, Mr. Speaker. I would want you to understand that. What you should be doing is paving the way and creating the way for the new opposition, that will be coming, Mr. Speaker, when WAMUNYORO party will be coming to this house, Mr. Speaker. So what I'm trying to tell you, Mr. Speaker, we do not have a minority, Mr. Speaker. In this house, we do not have a minority. There are only two coalitions.
Senator Eddy, as you raise your point of honor, because he has finished, also get your few minutes to contribute to the motion.
Mr. Speaker, I beg of you that you don't give me 2 minutes because I had come here.
I said take few.
Okay, few is okay. Few is okay. So help me with the clerk so that they don't put light on my, when I'm speaking, there's no few in that light. That light is very serious. Mr. Speaker, because he has finished to speak, I am an orderly person. I'm not going to speak on a point of order when I say that I sat down. But Mr. Speaker, we are degenerating as a house where people are taking this house for granted. Mr. Speaker, you know very well that there's nothing like WAMUNYORO party in this house, or even in this parliament. If there is, let the senator for Kiambu resign as a senator, go and vie on his WAMUNYORO party, whatever party he wants, and then come back to this house. But he cannot make this house degenerate into some silly jokes that don't make sense. We are in a very serious Senate of Kenya that we must respect and take very seriously. Now, Mr. Speaker, before I start, Mr. Speaker, can you protect me? Can you allow the senator for Kiambu to go to a funeral in Kiambu and shout there, not when I'm speaking here?
Andy, just...
Mr. Speaker, can I continue and be listened to in silence?
Please continue. Continue as I listen to what you're saying.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me cool down first. Let me first of all take my time, Mr. Speaker, that we cannot start speaking today without recognizing, Mr. Speaker, that our colleagues, two of them, one, our own leader, Amason Jeffa Kingi, the honorary speaker of this house, is mourning the death of his father. And number two, yesterday, the former commissioner and the senator of Laikipia, Honorable John Kinyua, just buried the father, Mr. Speaker. I feel very sad because losing a parent pains more than any toothache you've ever felt. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I wasn't expecting point of order when I'm mourning with my brothers who are leaders of this house. I think that is very uncourteous. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to urge this house to really stand with these two gentlemen, even as they mourn, because they are part of our house, and I didn't want to overlook that. Secondly, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Mandago, what is your point of order?
Really?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I think the Senator for Migori, ever since he went for a long recess, has forgotten the standing orders of this House. I rise on standing order number 111, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, this is on the issue of limitation of the debate. Mr. Speaker, you cannot allow other senators to speak for 15 minutes and ask other senators to speak for 2 minutes. And I want to quote standing order number 111, Honorable Speaker, Part 2. A motion for limitation of debate under this standing order may be made without notice. A motion under paragraph 2 shall not be made in the course of the debate, which refers unless it is moved after the adjournment of the debate, and therefore the debate is resumed. Honorable Speaker, I want to speak for 15 minutes.
Senator Mandago, I thought it is Senator Hendy who is out of order.
Procedural.
Proceed, Senator Hendy.
It was
Okay.
procedural. Nyinyi mmeongea dakika 10. Nyinyi na
Mr. Speaker, thank you once again. Certainly, I wasn't out of order, Mr. Speaker. I think that the Senator Mandago had personal issues with your ruling, and I think that we can sort it when he approach you. I'm not out of order. Mr. Speaker, I wanted to say thank you to the team that constituted the previous House Business Committee. I think they have done an excellent job, and they have really made this House work in the last session. And Mr. Speaker, I hope that the proposed new House Business Committee will actually borrow a leaf and glean some morals in terms of discipline, passion, and commitment from that previous committee. And Madam Speaker, I wanted to say that this committee indeed is a very vibrant committee, if it's considered as is, apart, of course, from the question that the senior counsel, Commissioner Mogeni, did raise on the issue of which side of minority and which side of majority do they come from, because you can be unbalanced depending on how you look at it. But that notwithstanding, Madam Speaker, I must say that the people who have been proposed here, the senators who have been proposed in this committee, are men and women of true valor and towering spirit to work. Of course, starting with our own Senator Crystal Asige. Madam Speaker, we know the zeal that Senator Crystal Asige brings into this House, and we know the commitment that she brings. And I really am excited to see in this committee. Madam Speaker, if you also look at my own chair of Finance and Budget, indeed, Ali Roba, the senator for Mandera, is a very industrious but also very diligent senator in this House who has served really well as matters of finance and budget. And Madam Speaker, I don't want to mention all of them because of pressure of time. I'm keen that all senators get equal time, but I do support and endorse this committee regardless of the contention that we still have on the majority versus minority side based on the court. But Madam Speaker, allow me to request that I know that all the senators who came before me have emphasized the urgency and the need to focus on legislative pieces that we must bring to this House. But I wanted to urge us that this House does not only look at legislative work. We are indeed a House of serious oversight, oversighting we're oversighting 47 executives. And unlike the National Assembly, that critically speaking, oversights one executive in this country, Madam Speaker. And I wanted to urge the committee that apart from prioritizing the bills that have been mentioned here, and I hope that even my bill for creative economy that will be able to support a number of young people in this country and open up government support and resources to creatives in this country, that Senator Crystal Asige has also worked on, when we were with her in the Committee of Trade, where I had put this to make a case for business viability and commercial viability for creatives. Apart from those bills, Madam Speaker, I want to really urge this House that the role of oversight is a critical one. And there are a number of reports from respective committees that have come to this committee, House Business Committee, that have not been dealt with, Madam Speaker. And some of them are so critical that yesterday, Madam Speaker, we spent our time in Migori County with finance and budget, which you are going to receive their report from where we came from in Migori. And Madam Speaker, we realize a lot of leakages in government resources and county resources, to the extent that, Madam Speaker, the issue of voiding that is happening in this country by governors, that the pending bills that we have seen rising from voiding payments that are supposed to go to contractors, Madam Speaker, is a problem that we are dealing with, not only in Finance and Budget Committee, but even in CPIC, where I sit, Madam Speaker, we have dealt with serious issues of pending bills, including over 80 billion, Madam Speaker, that is owed to different pension funds by different counties. I don't think that legislative pieces can go above those oversight issues. Madam Speaker, yesterday when we were in Migori County, we realized something that is very sad. The governor showed us, and this report will come to the House, the governor insisted to us that he had paid 1.1 billion in the last 1 year. And Madam Speaker, that county has got 1.7 billion worth of pending bills. When we reached out to COB, because there's no way a governor would pay any money without requesting money from the COB. When we asked the COB how much of worth of pending bills has the governor been able to do requisition for in the last 1 year, we got that it was 356 million. Meaning that the governor was telling the committee that 800 million worth of pending bills, the governor either paid from his own pocket or did not requisition from the COB, Madam Speaker. And his officer had the audacity of facing the committee, chaired by the able former majority whip, Senator Boni Aluale. He had the audacity of facing Boni Aluale and telling him that there is something called direct invoicing. Direct invoicing, Madam Speaker, is where you have sent invoice to COB for suppliers, and they have given you money to go and pay those suppliers. Then when you get to IFMIS, you do another invoicing. Madam Speaker, this committee must prioritize those reports so that for once and for all, we must deal with the issue of direct invoicing, Madam Speaker, because that is where billions of money are being wasted by governors, Madam Speaker, to the extent that, Madam Speaker, this last weekend, you have seen the arrogance of governors who have taken so much money that we saw in Kakamega, almost 10 people dying in a funeral because governors have become a point that they have taken so much money from the public coffers that they are gagging senators that they cannot oversight with goons, so that anybody who speaks against any governor, the next thing you hear, they have hired goons, they are fighting senators. Madam Speaker, we are out from the Finance and Budget Committee, and I'm out as a senator, that we are going to confront these governors regardless of the money that they have in this country. We cannot have a country, Madam Speaker, that people loot from public property, and people loot from public projects, and people loot from public coffers, and then they use the same amount of money to go and confuse our people to start fighting among themselves. The people they are giving 500 shillings to fight us who are oversighting and to abuse us on Facebook, Madam Speaker, and social media, the same people, when you go to their villages, there is no water. When you go to their villages, people are dying out of Panadol when they have got very good medical care, Madam Speaker. So I want to urge this committee to go and strongly work on those reports by PAC, by Finance and Budget, by CPIC, and this committee must bring those reports to this House so that if there is need to go to somewhere like Migori County, where we cannot track a number of projects, and I can tell you, Madam Speaker, I have data, and those reports are with the committee. We need to debate those reports in this House and make sure that we can even form special committees together with our partners, we have got very strong partners in this house. We have got the EACC, we have got the Auditor General, we have got the IG of Police, we have got the COB. Let all these partners go to Migori and look at these projects, and go to Isiolo and look at the projects that have been cleared in billions, and go to Muranga and look at those projects. Go to Kisii, look at those projects. Go to Mombasa, look at those projects. Because if we don't do that, Madam Speaker, and tighten the issue of oversight in this country, Madam Speaker, we are facing demagogues and hegemons in names of governors who have become comfortable that they can loot public property and public money, and senators will do nothing. The reports of the Senate are the most critical things that you must work on. Madam Speaker, as I finish, there is the question that has come here, Madam Speaker. And I think that I want to urge your seat, Madam Speaker, that don't take it lightly. Just go, retreat, and be able to make a proper pronouncement on the judgment that was shared by the court, Madam Speaker. Because when you look at the Constitution, Madam Speaker, on the issue of presiding in Parliament, that gives you the power to preside over us, Article 107 of the Constitution, Madam Speaker, it says that in a joint session of Parliament, the Speaker of the National Assembly shall preside over that joint session. Then the Speaker of the Senate shall deputize the Speaker of the National Assembly. When you go further to 108, Article 108, where now it defines party and coalition of parties that shall come as majority or minority, it only gives that power and that designation to the National Assembly. So, Madam Speaker, you must seek for an interpretation, whether from your chair or from the courts, of what does Article 108 and Article 107 mean for this House. Because if we take it lightly that this is a drama and a joke that the former minority side is doing to the former majority side, then we are not serving the nation. It is my understanding and my view of those two articles that the moment National Assembly Speaker has pronounced himself or herself, given the context of Article 107, that the majority party or the majority coalition is one side, then that applies to the Senate. And the reason I'm saying this, Madam Speaker, is because election day is when those majority and minority parties are determined. There is no any other election after we are seated in this House. And therefore, this question of some post-election coalitions that have come here and there, some of them we haven't seen any documentation to the effect. I want to urge you, Madam Speaker, that you can be able to help us be able to criticize, question, interrogate, engage with court orders. I saw Madam Gloria and the senator who was nominated Senator Gloria, Madam Speaker, contributing in this House. Yet, Madam Speaker, there was a court order that came on the basis of decisions that were made by this House. It was a decision that was made by this House that Senator Gloria was suspended for 6 months. I understand that maybe there's a potential that Senator Gloria might have gone and appealed against that court order. But it needs to be communicated to the House, Madam Speaker. If it's not communicated, then she's a stranger in the House, Madam Speaker. When the Speaker sits and then ignores those court orders, ignores a stranger being in the House without communicating to us, how are we running the House? These are the issues that I hope that the House Business Committee will look at and let us engage with these court matters, and not only engage with them on time so that we can be able to interpret and engage with these court orders. Otherwise, Madam Speaker, I'm looking forward to a very vibrant session this session, and I hope that we'll make our country better by working together, agreeing to disagree for the purpose of moving Kenya forward. I thank you, Madam Speaker.